Better late than never. You want one? It's halfway.
Oh, God, no.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Listen, when we talked yesterday, was it? Or the day before? And then I forgot a few things. Anyway, Rogers went pretty good last night.
Yeah.
Voice of the Province.
Yeah, no.
That went good.
Oh, I enjoy doing that. It's fun.
I expected you to be crucified, but they didn't.
No.
I don't watch Voice of the Province, but it went pretty good.
Yep.
Okay, now, the damn Liberals beat me to it. I wanted to ask you yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
And, okay, let's say if the city of Miramichi says, we don't want show gas.
Mm-hmm.
Is the government going to force their way in there, or?
No, the way it works is that there's two different components to it. One is geophysical work and seismic testing. And the way the regulation is written now is that, yes, they have to get permission from the municipality if they're going to do work inside the municipality. But there's also the concept of, if a provincial road goes through the municipality, the way it reads right now is that, or you get permission from Department of Transportation to do seismic and geophysical work on that road. And that's, it's not a really well-written regulation right now because it says or, so there's a confusion of who do you have to get permission from in that perspective. When it gets to doing drilling, all of that work, all of that consultation with communities takes place throughout the EIA process.
Yeah, so, you said that. Is there going to be EIA process?
Oh God, yeah. Oh God, yeah.
Oh God, yeah.
on every single drilling project that would take place, there would be an EIA.
You sure about that?
Absolutely.
Because the states, there was no EIA there at all. They just go.
The states is irrelevant to us.
Okay, so let's get one thing straight here. If they found a big amount of show gas, that is profitable, everybody's happy.
Yeah.
And the city, we're using Miramichi as an example, says no.
Right.
You go through the loophole, say, well, we got a provincial road in the middle of your city.
No. Again, it's for the geophysical testing, right? And we're going to tighten that one up to make sure that there isn't any ambiguity there. So the question you're asking is two different things. One is geophysical seismic, the other is actual drilling. And what we're saying all along is that if you get to a drilling point, it's the EIA process that you have the full community consultation. Basically, individuals, groups, municipal representatives, they come to the board that's doing the work on the EIA. They give their opinion on this, whether they want it or not. They point out the issues that they're having with this concept of this activity taking place, and that's obviously going to be a critical component in the ultimate decision that's made by the minister who has to sign off on the EIA process.
Would it be something like LaPierre, and then they would just say, okay, we listen to your concern, but we're still going to push it? No,
we've said, and you got to listen to the messaging that we're saying, is that we're saying that industry has got to get communities on board, because if communities show that there's a detrimental impact of this activity taking place in their community, then we're not going to allow it to take place in that area. So I think that's the key thing, that there's two different perspectives here. One is that the geophysical work, the way it's written now, that they either have to get permission from the municipality to do that work or from the province to do it on a provincial road. But when you get to the actual drilling concept, then it becomes a whole much bigger picture, and you need to get that whole consultation piece taking place.
I always found you to be honest.
Yep.
But, if you're in the opposition, wouldn't you say, which city in the right frame of mind would destroy their water supply for a short-term gain?
Well, because then that's the argument that you have to have, and that's the debate that obviously that we're having in the province. But we look at the fact that multiple jurisdictions have done this very safely. There's been no impact on water whatsoever. And the fact is, it's an industrial process. And that kind of industrial process is regulated. And the fact is we've got a history in North America of being very good regulators. There's always going to be examples of where things go wrong. There's no question about that. But the fact of the matter is that when you're talking about this particular industry, you look out in BC, you look in Alberta, this has been done safely for decades and decades. There's no issues with water, in BC, Alberta, Saskatchewan. It can be done safely, and it's all about making sure the right regulations are in place and the right standards are in place.
Regulation, the minister, the doctor, what's her name? Dr. Medical Health.
Cleary, yep.
Yeah. And Louis Lapierre.
Mm-hmm.
And the EIA.
Mm-hmm.
We're seeing drilling begin in what, 10 years from now?
No, I mean, you'll probably see actual drilling and stimulation of wells. Right now, it would probably be around 2015 or so. This next summer would be basically more exploration, a lot of permitting, obviously going through that process. And then 2014 is probably when they will kind of focus in on the areas that they think that there's good potential for gas.
Yep.
That's where they would actually do their drilling in terms of drill cores, get some samples out, see what the rocks look like. And then they can formulate, okay, where's the best bet to actually drill some real wells, and then we try to produce some gas.
And if they want to explore in Sussex, and Sussex says no.
If they want to do geophysical work in Sussex, and Sussex says no, as the regulation's written right now, they wouldn't be able to do it.
They wouldn't, that means town of Sussex.
The company wouldn't be able to do it.
Wouldn't be able to do it.
Yeah, because they have to get permission from the
You plan to fix that, you? Or?
Well, basically, the fact of the matter is that geophysical work, there's basically no risk to it whatsoever, right?
Somebody brought it up yesterday. That's right. Just have a look. Last question. Somebody brought up my blog. You said you talked to the natives about this issue. You will talk to the natives.
Oh, yes.
Candace Paul, chief of St. Mary, stood up a couple of days ago in front of the ledge and condemned shale gas. What happens there?
Well, I think, again, it's that whole process that you go through to hear what the overall, if we're looking at doing an issue with activity in the area in proximity to a First Nations, obviously we're going to be consulting on a project-by-project basis with First Nations. So that means, we're sitting down with them, going through everything. It's not just a lip service of saying, here's what we're doing and away we go. There's obviously a duty to consult, and we'll be consulting on a project-by-project basis with First Nations. So, I mean, we have to sit down with Chief Paul. We have to, take a look to see what her stance on it is. And again, if we get to the point where there's a potential for some activity in that place, and whether it's the First Nations or any other community comes forward and demonstrates that we don't want this, it's going to be detrimental to our community, that's the fact of the matter. Is that's going to weigh heavily in the final determination.
So you are going to communicate.
And absolutely, we know that we're not going to be able to move this forward without getting communities to buy into it. And the fact is that we've said very clearly in the statements that we've made in the House, and the statements I made in the House today, even, we're talking about a situation where industry knows they've got to get communities on board with their projects. Because if communities aren't on board, they're not going to succeed. And we're not even going to go down the road of projects that we aren't going to succeed.
How's your nerves in all this?
Good.
You were calm when you started, and you're still calm.
I guess I get to talk to you every day, and that brings me down. It's a very calming influence.
Oh, what a kiss-ass comment. That's okay. Thank you.
No problem.